in this debate that we want a change for China that will be something from the past, something non-Western, and something that will keep the same people of the Communist Party in charge. One word, Taoism. I'm going to show you why it is in the Chinese religion that they do not care about same-sex sex and marriage, but actually now the Chinese government has something to rally its people around, which is something that is way better than any alternatives that can be done politically, something that will unite the people. And the second thing I'm going to show why it will be also beneficial for their outer policy and international policy. But first, a small word about Russia, and the rest will be in the internal policy. So we say that Russia is not really an actor here, because you know what? China is bigger, China is better. Russia needs China more than China needs Russia. On the contrary, the Chinese have fought during the Mao rule to go against the Russians, to show that they are independent of anyone. This is actually a direct continuation of the Chinese people showing that they only do what they want, and if the rest of the world wants to be with them, they need to do what China wants. So you know what? We don't want Russia. Now, about this idea of the Chinese being conservative and not liking gay people. That is false, because there is nothing in Taoism that goes against same-sex relationships. On the contrary, we see archaeological and artistic evidence of Chinese men having sexual relationships and so on. Now, we think that on the contrary, family and marriage is something very important to the Chinese people, because they want, as you said, stability. And what better way of achieving stability if not through marriage? On the contrary, the situation today when there are gay people who lead a promiscuous life, not being married, having sex all around and having their own clubs, that is something terrible for the Chinese. That is something that they would like to avoid. And if they know that there is a stable relationship, they don't care if it's between two women or two men, as long as it serves the ideology. And this is something that the government can sell to its people. And why do we think that this is what is needed? Because right now China is seeing a political vacuum, meaning that Maoism is an ideology, is something that doesn't exist anymore. The party cannot sell communism to the people because it's not real. And they are afraid of losing the revolutionary swing, like what happened in the former Soviet Union, that the people didn't have anything to rally around, and then the tears between them became larger and larger. So the Chinese need something to unite them. And we believe that by going back to Taoism and by selling same-sex marriage under that is something that will be very beneficial for them. Why is that? Because what they have remaining is making the situation of the common person better. We see it by them canceling the one-child policy. We see it by land reforms. What don't they want? They do not want to improve their attitude towards the Muslims. They do not want to improve their attitude towards the Tibet, and so on. So they need something that they can sell, something that everyone agrees upon, and even if there will be backlash at certain villages, I think that the government can live with that, since there is backlash against many other people. But this is something that can be a consensus, because it's not something that hurts the personal feelings or the lives of most of the Chinese citizens. Now, we think that it's like the example of Bismarck and the pensions. While Bismarck was not liberal at all, he helped the people with reforms that improved their lives and created support for him. Now, this support, we believe, will take place because the people see that the Chinese government is coming towards them and is coming towards certain political groups, but further than that, because marriage is stability. While people live in marriages and have a stable house, they understand that they do not live their lives as individuals. They understand that they are tied to other people and need to take care of them. We believe that by this erasing or a devaluation of individualism and having constantly to think of yourself as a family unit, it's something that encourages you to be a loyal citizen, because you now know that you need to lead a steady life with, and you cannot do whatever you want. There are no sexual freedoms. It's a family that you need to have, unlike leading a life of choice. When there is marriage, there is less choice, happier people, and eventually a very good political spin. Before I continue, Shalit.
One of the biggest problems in China today is lack of women. How do you think the people will look at that when you have women marrying women and more bachelors missing women?
It's really a problem, since this is something that's happening today. Today there is a bigger problem of prostitution, if you want to go to that case, and there is more problem of men leading a miserable life. So you know what? Maybe they would rather be married to other men and not to see the situation that's happening right now. But why do we think it's also very good for external policy? Because we think that those kind of political spins are very important when you deal with the rest of the world. We think that it gives you help both in the short term, like we see when Israel left the Gaza Strip. It actually gained a lot of political leverage, telling the world, you see, we are doing what we want, now you need to consider us. And this is something that China really wants, because in the short term it has the negotiation of what's happening in Syria, it has the negotiation over the islands and so on, so it needs support. And in the long run, it's also a good distraction from other bad things that China is doing, like Tibet and like the Muslims, because now China can see, look, we are in a process. And a process, of course, takes time, so we're talking about many, many years in which they can tell the world, look, but we're changing, and in the meantime, keep on doing whatever they want. And another thing is telling the world, you see, you pretend to be liberal, but democracy isn't liberalism. So you don't have necessarily to be democratic in order to be good for your people. You can choose the other way. And that is a very good image of China, to show that there is no connection between the ideology and the political system. So for all of those reasons, we call you to give the Chinese a really good political speech internally and externally.